Texans-Packers, a great game right down to the wire by new Packers kicker Brandon McManus. But the story in this one, of course, Jordan Love completes 24-33 for 220 yards. The 3 touchdowns are the key, 2 picks. Jordan Love is really leaning into this Favre-type play.
Wasn't Dontavian Wicks supposed to be out for like a month? Wait.
You said week to week, and in theory, he missed 6 days because no one played.
They've had a very strange year with their skill guys. The Christian Watson ankle.
Jordan Love leads the league in passing touchdowns.
Yes.
He missed 2 games.
Well,
he's also he's thrown 8 interceptions as well.
He doesn't care.
Yeah, he's just heaving it downfield. I mean, this is how LaFleur, I think, in a way, wants to play, where it is getting yards on the ground and then just flinging it deep. And it's working at the moment. You'd like some of the interceptions to go away, but Jordan Love, like, this offense is super explosive. It is a little bit difficult to define roles week to week, but you want shares of the Green Bay offense.
He's the 3rd best quarterback in fantasy on a points per game basis so far this season, even when he's missed the 2 games. To your point, no one has more touchdown passes than him. He's missed 2 games. So Jordan Love, by the way, you love their upcoming schedule at Jacksonville, home to Detroit, which should be a bit of a shootout. Then a bye at Chicago, so there'll be 2 weeks in there that, aren't. But, yeah, I agree with you. You want as much a part of this Packers offense as possible. It's a little tough on the wide receivers, but maybe you just sort of feel like when you see the state of the wide receiver position, like, okay, sure, you didn't get much out of Jaden Reed yesterday, but whatever. Like, if you're just starting him, like, you also didn't get anything out of Ayuk or Debo or Tyreek Hill, and we'll get into all those guys.
Josh Downs.
Yeah, exactly. So Romeo Doubs, 30% target share, which was a team high. He's now had back-to-back games at 17 points. They do look for him when they get in close. Watson's back out there as well. Better days ahead for Jaden Reed, and nice game from Dontavian Wicks as well. Again, they're scoring at a high rate. Josh Jacobs gets in the end zone on his first receiving touchdown. Friend of the podcast,
yes.
Josh Jacobs. So good to see there as well.
Jay, on the Texans side of things, Joe Mixon with the big day, 25 carries. Bobby Slowick special right there, 115 yards and 2 touchdowns. C.J. Stroud right now sitting at QB 24 after 5.3 points.
Yeah, I know Bobby Slowick has become this kind of hallowed figure. Like, he just runs the ball too much. I'm sorry. Like, he did it all last season. He's doing it again this season. The fact that they had 33 rushing attempts versus 21 pass attempts. And then, by the way, the one time they should have run the ball at the end of the game, they passed it and stopped the clock, which helped Green Bay immensely. So I thought they just butchered this game. Fantasy-wise, it's great news for Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon's going to be a top 5-6 running back the rest of the way. Receiving-wise, I don't think there's anything really to be learnt outside of, Tank Dell puts up a goose egg. And then Stephon Diggs does not much. Dalton Schultz is the leading receiver on the team with 1 catch for 28 yards. I think, is C.J. Stroud a must start week to week?
No, he isn't. He was on the preseason hate list. I will say this, though. They're home to Indy next week. I think, the Texans get back on track against the Colts next week as well. Look, I hear you. I'll just say this, though. They needed a last-second field goal from Brandon McManus, who was signed on Wednesday to win this game. The Packers did. The Packers have a really good defense, and the Texans went in there and almost won. They were getting it going on the ground game. That they had a chance to win at the end. So I don't know. Bad fantasy day for C.J. Stroud. Tough matchup. I think the Texans get back on track next week against the Colts. I'm not really to panic yet. Tank Dell is another conversation.
I was going to say.
Tank Dell's no longer a must start.
I would say you can't start him anymore.
No,
unless you're in a bye week disaster scenario.
No, Tank Dell is sadly no longer a thing. It's Stephon Diggs and Joe Mixon, and then C.J. Stroud, I think, is matchup dependent at this point.
Last week, Dell did get 9 targets, goes 757 on a touchdown.
Yeah, it's his only good game. It's his only good game this year.
But there's only been 2 games without Nico Collins, and he was really good in one of them, and then did absolutely nothing in another when they never threw the ball. I wouldn't give up entirely on Tank Dell yet. I still believe in what he did last
But again, he's 1 for 2 in games without Nico Collins, and Nico Collins is coming back here in the next week or 2.
You got 2 more games without him. So you started for those 2, and then he's on the back burner.
I do think he'll be better against the Colts. I think they'll all be better against the Colts at home, for sure. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotorWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.